Hi, my presentation is about making the move to digital portfolios for the Halifax High School graduation project. Why make the move to a digital portfolio? Currently, Halifax High School has an award-winning graduation project for our seniors. It is something that they accomplish over the 4 years that they are a student there. It is done in Canvas modules for each year, and they work on it during their homeroom or discovery time under the guidance of their discovery teacher. Some additional assignments may be done in classes, but many years ago, a lot of the assignments and experiences were moved out of the classroom courses and into this online experience with the discovery teachers mentoring the process. However, it has kind of became sort of a monster, a little bit of a beast. Some discovery teachers are more proficient in other areas than, another discovery teacher, and really the students need some classroom guidance. So our current principal is going to be moving the assignments and experiences back into the classroom courses that they correspond with. And so now we basically need a home base for the students to place their artifacts. So why digital portfolios? They are a purposeful collection of student work that shows their progress, efforts, and achievements over time. And what they really allow is they allow students to be involved in the learning process by capturing, curating, and celebrating their learning and telling their story about what they learned. Students can then review each other's portfolios and learn from each other. And what we really like about this is not only does it give the students a place to curate and reflect, but it is something that they can revisit and reflect upon and even revise for the future. So that component is there. It's something that they can take with them. How will we implement digital portfolios? Upon talking and collaborating with teachers in the graduation committee, particularly the freshman academy teacher, it became glaringly apparent that it would probably be best to have the students use Google Sites. And the main number one reason would be safety. They will have their name, information, personal things on the site, and therefore one safety check that we can kind of put in place is that students do not publish their website out into the world, the World Wide Web, that they only are publishing it internally to Halifax Area School District users. So that will keep it safe. And eventually, when the students are older and they're 18 and they want to then make it something that they publish, they can share it to another Gmail account and take ownership of it and then publish it on their own. Ninth graders will actually start to build the framework for the portfolio during their freshman academy course, and this course was actually implemented already this year. So it's a nice fit. The teacher that runs it is very well versed in building websites and portfolios. The first year implementation, however, we will have a little bit of an issue because 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders do not have an academy course. So they will have to build their framework during workshop sessions. These can be held during discovery time. And one idea that we had as a collaborative group was that Friday discovery times, which again is a homeroom time, there could be workshop sessions per grade where they are sent to our media center or media cafe, and a teacher like myself could be facilitating students building the framework and starting to populate and even reflect and review. It could also be built into other classes such as English, business, economics, our health, and even our phys ed classes. Basically, any class where you could possibly create an artifact for this could build in workshop time. We will need to most likely eliminate the need for seniors to create a Google slide or PowerPoint presentation during their senior year. So they're going to save some time that year because instead of presenting a slideshow or a PowerPoint, they will actually present their finished portfolio instead. How will we track and assess students? Students will be given a checklist to help keep them on track with their portfolio over the course of 4 years. I have a sample plan that I came up with, but this is still something that needs to be worked out with the graduation committee. So I kind of gave an idea of where we are right now, but again, as we move things back into courses, this definitely is going to need fine-tuned. Teachers will also have access to a Google spreadsheet of all students by grade, and then they can also be checking off on their progress. And so I could open it up and see where students are, and we could be creating that and just kind of using it each year to see where everyone is in each class and where they should be. So all teachers will have access to that and can help check off students with their progress. Teachers who assign any possible artifacts can build in workshop time for students to populate, reflect, and review, and also review and reflect on their classmates' portfolios. And there is a senior graduation presentation. I'm hoping that we keep this. There's some pros and cons to our current way that we do this. One of them is that it's very time consuming for the students and really for the teachers that are on the panel. So one idea was to move to a panel of business leaders and community leaders that are actually reviewing the students' portfolios. And there would obviously have to be a rubric used by the presentation panel. So I have a sample rubric, and again, this would have to be something that is collaborated with a little bit more with the graduation committee, but I did provide a sample one that I feel best suits our needs. This would be in a sample student checklist. So basically each grade, they would just have some checks that they would be making sure that they're keeping on track with. And it's really based on where currently different artifacts can be found in their courses. Obviously, ninth grade, they're doing a lot of the building of the framework, and senior year, they're really kind of finishing up everything. So we have something where, just each year, this might change a little bit as the committee goes through and kind of reviews what courses will begin to have the different experiences and assignments in it that we currently require. This would be a sample rubric for the portfolio presentation. And the presentation is a way for the students to basically kind of almost like an exit interview to kind of say, here it is, I'm done, this is what I learned. And so I really liked when I was looking at this rubrics, I really do not currently like the high stakes point value that we have associated with our graduation presentation. I really think that takes away from what it really means for the students. It really, for me, the presentations are a celebration of the students showcasing what they have accomplished over the 4 years and what they've learned about themselves. So I used the levels of needs improvement, satisfactory, or exceed standards. And obviously, if the students are in needs improvement, again, depending on what the issue was, maybe they don't need to redo it. Maybe it's something they could just get some feedback on for their future. And then they also could use a template. I created a template sample portfolio, but obviously as they're learning Google Sites, they're going to learn how they can kind of make it look fancier and get creative with it. But some students may just want to stick to something very, very simple. So I do have a sample portfolio that I'm going to go through in a minute. And here are my references that I'm going to use to defend why we should be making this move. All right, I based this sample off of what we are currently doing with our assignments and our experiences. So as the graduation committee collaborates, this might change a little bit, but this was my simple little outline. So I obviously used John Smith as our kind of John Doe student here. And the homepage would have their resume and a sample cover letter. So, about me, they would look at their personality research, what others say about them, and strengths and weaknesses. And they would have at least one artifact to kind of back this up, and they would do a reflection explaining why they chose this artifact. That's generally, that personality portion is done in their freshman year. Sophomore year into junior year, they get a lot of the college and career research done. So a major component of this digital portfolio is really to house a lot of this work. So they may talk about careers they've been interested in. A lot of times they'll have like 2 or 3 they'll put up. Job shadow experience. They do a job interview experience their senior year. Top colleges and military choices. And then what they then selected and how that path looks for their career and or college or military. Because this is so widespread for kids, we have kids all over the place. I mean, we have some students that have a career chosen with military and they're going to go to college. So they have a lot. I selected that they would pick 3 artifacts that they would then reflect on. Financial planning, a lot of this is going to be done in their sophomore, junior, and senior year. It really depends on what classes they take when. But they would have 1 artifact for each of the bullets. They would have a realistic sample budget. That's generally done their senior year, but depending on what else they're working on in their other classes, they could include an insurance, banking, checkbook, registered stock market, learning about credit cards, or basic IRS tax return knowledge. Anything that, depending on what class they took, that they can then reflect on that will help them in the future with their financial planning. Healthy living, they're going to really look at their fitness and health-related goals or concerns and how they want to address these goals and concerns as an adult. And currently they would do 1 fitness plan artifact, but they do many health-related assignments over their years. So I added 1 health-related artifact that was completed and why they picked these and what they learned and how it contributes to their learning as they become an adult. Community. We are a national school of character, so I thought it was only relevant to add community. Currently, the students are not necessarily required to do a graduation assignment for this, but discoveries are required to do community service each year. So I thought how nice it would be to add this component. And so talking to some other teachers, I decided to add this. For now, we can always take it out of there, but it doesn't need to be an artifact of an assignment, but maybe just an artifact of some involvement in the community or service to the community from a variety of different avenues, such as school clubs, events, discovery projects they could use, and any other volunteer. And just really want them to reflect on something that was important to them or stood out to them during their 4 years. And the last, this is currently something they usually end their presentation with, their future goals, short-term and long-term. And so they do have assignments throughout their high school that will help them investigate these goals. Currently, there is a paper that they write. So I figured it was very fitting that they provide at least 1 artifact that helped them investigate or learn about their future goals. And then obviously the reflection component would be added to that. They do not need to have their tabs like this. I talked to the graduation committee teachers and they really felt that, giving the students the creative freedom to do it how they wanted. This would just be a guide. If they followed this, they would obviously be able to hit the needed components and artifacts. And again, I've actually already shared this with the freshman academy teacher, so he can start looking through it. So if you actually I'm going to share this link, but you could check it out. And you can see that, I just added another teacher to actually help me with this down the road as we kind of keep going through our planning. All right, well, thank you very much for listening to how I hope to implement digital portfolios next year at Halifax High School for our graduation project.